piggy.
So disturbing.
Yeah.
That's a great way to start the book.
Yeah. Squeal like a piggy. Let me ask you a question. You ever made love to a fully grown man? Would you like to? You ain't got a choice, boy. Hi.
Today we're making love to a fully grown man,
yes.
apparently, right?
Todd?
Was our greased up John Denver?
Oh man. I still have that footage. I greased up John Denver. Was it a greased up John Denver out of the GIMP drawer, the GIMP closet?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Riding the Farrago Michael J. Fox or something.
Yeah. Yes. Alright. So, we're talking about... We like to talk about film a lot. And we talked about our disdain for remakes, or we talked about... even all the way back to the first podcast, we talked about Blockbuster. But we never really talked about films that we would want to see or films that we would want to remake. So this podcast is devoted to 2 movies that we would recast and remake, and 2 movies that we would like to see cast and made, as Resident Evil gets played in the background. It looks so sweet on that fucking 4K. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Warren, what do you got?
Okay, so my fast
And
track.
we'll kind of jump in between. Like, you got a couple that you'd want to see. You basically, you're recasting a universe.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what we're gonna...
So this is my like fast track to be in Hollywood. My Hollywood job would be casting movies so people don't hate them so much.
Sure.
And I think I'll start with Justice League and how that whole fiasco could have just been avoided, and how this whole thing about DC chasing Marvel in this current cinematic pursuit, how they could have just stuck it to Marvel and been like, we're way ahead of you, right?
Yeah, okay.
So I'll start with that. So my idea is, I guess I'll give a little backstory to what I'm thinking with this. So Justice League, firstly, where they went wrong with even Batman vs Superman, right? Where they went wrong, the new Superman, I'm fine with. I'll keep him. I'll keep that guy because we can't have the original dude, right?
No.
So we'll keep him. He's better than the fucking other dude who tried it. I like it. He's in. Okay, so we start from Man of Steel. After that, I blow everybody's mind when the trailer for Batman Superman plays, because you don't see Batman, you just hear his voice. And then in Batman Superman, after all the Superman shit's out of the way, it pans over and who's there? The original Batman. It's
fucking Michael Keaton.
It's Michael Keaton.
Okay,
and
yeah.
he's an old ass Batman. And
Okay.
all the shit that happened in the Burton movies actually happened. And so he's already dealt with the Joker, and he's already dealt with Two-Face, and he's already dealt with all those guys, and this is modern day Gotham. He's been through the ringer, right?
Yeah.
Then...
Dude, that's awesome.
Right? Then, I have... so, because of this time that the story of Batman vs Superman takes place, he's an old man. Okay, before everyone's like, why is he so old? So that's it. So we have Michael Keaton, the original one, right? Then when they're like, oh, in between, after Batman Superman, we're going to surprise everyone with Suicide Squad. Well, guess what? We see Harley Quinn recasting her. Unfortunately, she's dead, so that goes against my Christopher Reeves thing, but I'm going to do it. She's the best girl for the job. Brittany Murphy should have been.
Yes.
She should have been Harley Quinn.
Yes, she should have.
Because she looks like Harley Quinn. even without
Yeah.
anything happening.
She always kind of had that crazy, tragic,
Yeah.
you know, hot, blonde chick that's also clinically insane. That's perfect.
Yes. I don't have much thought on the other guys because I haven't put much thought into that, but definitely not Will Smith. We'll say that. So Will Smith.
And I think that's a general consensus on the whole thing. Not because that Will Smith failed at the role, because he did a great job as Deadshot.
He's just too.
He's too nice.
Yeah.
You every time you see him, it's
we need
like
bad guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Every time you see him, it doesn't matter how many dramatic roles he played. Like I loved him in was 12 Pounds.
7 Pounds.
7 Pounds.
Yep.
I'm thinking 12 Years a Slave. Sorry.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm so everything gets back to racism.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 7 Pounds. He was fantastic in The Pursuit of Happiness. That's one of my favorite films.
Yeah.
The Pursuit of Happiness. But it's just you always see those roles of him being a nice guy, giving and they tried to do it. They made him a bad guy.
They made him a nice guy
Yeah.
at the same time. So yeah, he's out as far as I'm concerned, and I don't have much of a thought on that. So I'm gonna skip him and go to
I think
Suicide.
Denzel Washington.
Oh, yes, like fucking Training Day.
Training Day, Denzel
Training
Washington.
Day, Denzel. yeah. I mean, I love that. So the movie plays Suicide Squad, and then at the end when Harley Quinn gets rescued, who the fuck is it? The man that we thought was gone all this time? It's Jack fucking Nicholson, the surviving Joker from the first Batman movie you ever fucking saw, and he's still around.
Because it's never fully like, yes, he's got that little laughing thing in there, but he did fall from several hundred feet. But the Joker, his mania is why he is alive.
Yeah. We don't even have to explain it. So at that point, now we've jumped Marvel. Marvel's like tried to put movies out at that time but failed, and has only just done it now. But now we're like, well, guess what, motherfucker?
Yeah.
We're gonna bring all the shit we did back then. Like that's been happening the whole time. Michael Keaton's been Batman, right?
Yeah.
So we do that. And so we get to keep all the cool shit, we get to keep all that. Then, spoilers, right?
Yeah.
Ben Affleck is...
If you're watching this, there are going to be spoilers in the movies we are.
Ben Affleck's obviously pulling out of being Batman. So, let's say that the same series of events take place with Keaton. And he does Batman Superman, and he does Justice League. And then he's like, that's it.
I'm too fucking old.
I've reprised it. We've done that. It was cool. Let's give it. So then I give you who takes Batman's mantle. Who's the guy who Batman would leave his legacy of justice to? Who's the only guy who's good enough? The original fucking Robin. But who's that? Well, I guess at this time, with him being that old, he's a fully grown man and probably living somewhere under the label of Nightwing. And he's a badass motherfucker too. Keanu Reeves enters to take the mantle.
What?
A John Wick motherfucking Batman comes in and he takes it. And it's okay because he isn't Batman. He's Dick Grayson becoming Batman. So then we get to see it happen. We get to see him be like, I've got to be what Bruce was. And he's Batman now. And he's got fucking the other Robin, Damian there, who's Bruce's biological son. And he's got to, give all those lessons to him like he had, right?
That's great.
And the universe continues. That's where it should have been. That's my Justice League.
There's Justice League.
Yeah.
Well, that was Justice League and Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Together. We'll jump back to your other one. I love that. I love the Keanu Reeves.
Dude.
And especially Keaton, like that if that happened, that would be fucking. That would be incredible.
Because the kids would have no reference to it, but all the dads and all the guys there would just be like,
what the fuck?
Because you'd remember sitting there that first time and seeing that camera pan down Gotham City and seeing the Batmobile and seeing and he's your Batman.
Yeah. And he's got the old school Batmobile.
Yes, he does.
None of this Tumblr bullshit.
Yeah.
He's got the old school Batmobile. Fucking Alfred's still there.
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
Dude, it would. And I just love the idea of Keanu Reeves being Nightwing and coming in to take over.
And he's just walking, they got the John Wick walk and everything, and
And he's the new Batman, and people like you. So like he's dealing with the grief of losing Bruce, and then you have him dealing with like the Justice League, like he has to take his place in the Justice League and shit.
And he doesn't want to be nice to
just
people.
Throwing off all them John Wick skills, just breaking arms and legs,
killing people.
Dude, it'd be
a completely different. That's fantastic.
That's
I love
what
that
we want.
idea.
That's what I want.
So you're more of the comic book sci-fi dude. I'm the horror movie guy. In some respects, we cross over quite a bit.
We do.
But mainly, like, if I'm collecting memorabilia, it's going to be horror movie memorabilia. If you're collecting memorabilia, it's going to be that the comic book memorabilia, that kind of stuff. And the first horror movie that I ever saw, even though my namesake is Friday the 13th, the first one I ever saw was Jaws. That was the first movie that terrified me as a kid. I was obsessed with sharks at the time, and that kind of instilled the fear of them. And I always was kind of like flipping around the idea of what if there was a Jaws remake? What would that be like nowadays?
Yeah. And
with the advent of digital effects and everything, obviously that would be in there somehow. But Deep Blue Sea, that was 50-50 practical shark effects, practical shark effects, practical people effects, explosions, and then in-camera stuff as well as CG. We're not talking about that. We can definitely get the shark to be like it was in the original, big as shit, a mechanical shark to do all that stuff. We don't need to do too much CG. Obviously, we could enhance some of it, but the actors now, those three main roles. I'm not talking about Brody's wife or anybody else. I'm talking about the three main guys. I'm talking about Chief Brody. I'm talking about Hooper. I'm talking about Quint.
Okay.
So those three guys are the main ones that I want to focus on, because there's a bunch of great performances in that. You got the mayor, you've got Brody, you have Brody's wife, you have his kids, and all that kind of stuff. Who, they don't play as big of a role, but Chief Brody, Roy Scheider is that right there. That was the dude to play that role at the time. And if we do a remake and everything, we need somebody that's just the right amount of seasoned and, just the right amount of seasoned, but still has a young sort of, because he's the mid-ground between Quint and Hooper in the movie. If you see the dynamic, and most of the people are looking at this like, dude, it's fucking Jaws. Why are you picking it apart like it's Citizen Kane? It's like, if you look at the performances, that is exactly the dynamic that they play.
Yeah.
You have the two outliers of crazy. Like, you have the super excited young guy in Hooper, and then you have the super crazy, I've been doing this forever, that slowly, he's slowly beaten by the shark, Quint, and you have the mid-ground. So I want to put Gary Sinise in that role there. I feel like Gary Sinise, at this point in his acting career, he's an older guy. He's probably much older than Roy Scheider was when he was originally cast in the role, but he would have that kind of, he would be Brody. I could see him in the black turtleneck with the pants and the boat shoes and everything with the glasses. I could see him as a good. I also want to cast characters that sort of harken back to, like, not. Yeah. I wouldn't cast like a super young Brody. I wouldn't put like fucking Andrew Garfield or Toby Hooper or Toby Maguire or anyone like that in that role. I would put someone that's got the right amount of seasoning. And then we have Matt Hooper, who is he's the wealthy scientist, young wealthy scientist. He's got, I love the line in the movie where he asks Brody, he's like, who pays for all of this? He's like, this stuff costs a lot of money. And he's like, well, I pay for this myself mostly. He's like, yeah, you're rich? He goes, yeah. How much? Yeah. Well, me personally or the whole family? Like that. So, like, Wow, why can't I remember his name? The original actor who played Matt Hooper. Anyway, it's there. It'll come back at some point. But the way he played it, and I'm running through all the movies that I remember him in, Mr. Holland's Opus. But the way he played that character was exactly how you expect it to be played. It was, this sort of super eager, excited, but also, when it came down to it, super professional, about ready to, get things going if we have to. And the person that I would want to put in that role, I guess there's a bunch that you could stick in there. But speaking of the guy I mentioned before, Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
That's who I'd stick in there.
Right.
Because when he's done a bunch of movies at this point in time. He's the failed Spider-Man, unfortunately. But now he has more of a grizzled look to him, sort of. And the reason I'm not going for kind of unknown actors, because these three guys were super well known at the time. I'm kind of going for the actors with the same kind of gravitas, and he has enough experience to give really some weight to that role, the same weight that the original actor gave to it. And why can't I do it? And now we move on to Quint.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Shaw. Why do I remember that and not Robert Shaw's performance in that fucking movie as Quint makes me want to be that character in that, just to have that kind of, just to have that aura around you as as that kind of person in the real world.
Yeah.
The USS Indianapolis story is, I think, one of the coolest monologues, not the best ever, but the coolest monologue to ever sort of grab an audience by the balls and be like, oh, this is why he does what he does, because he actually fucking hates these things.
Yeah.
And he wants to not eradicate the world, but defeat them, because, this statistic is true. 1,100 men went in the water, 316 came out. The sharks took the rest. Bumping into your friends, that's a good friend of yours, he bobs up, he's cut in half and shit like. So I think probably the only actor that could add that kind of depth and weight to it is Benicio del Toro.
Oh shit. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Fucking Andrew Garfield, Gary Sinise, and Benicio del Toro as Hooper, Chief Brody, and Quint in that movie.
Cool. Yeah, man.
Because I guess generationally, Gary Sinise would actually, I think maybe at this time, be the same age, if not older, than Benicio del Toro. I don't know. They might be. I have to look that up.
Sounds right.
I'll have to look at. But I feel like they would be. Just the way I can sort of see because have you seen Sicario yet?
No.
You have to watch that movie.
Okay.
Sicario, done by the same guy who did the new Blade Runner.
Okay.
Sicario is about Mexico, Bolivia, the drug cartels.
Okay.
And it's about us going down there and infiltrating the Mexican government, and not infiltrating the Mexican, but helping the Mexican government against the drug cartels. And Benicio del Toro plays pretty much the lead guy down there, and he's fucking wackadoo. But he's actually from the original Medellin cartel from Cuba. So he's kind of a defector, but he has a point to prove to these people, and he ends up doing all kinds of illegal shit to get the job done. And like I've seen that, and it also astounds me how much Brad Pitt and Benicio del Toro look alike now.
Yeah.
It's weird.
That
But
is-
I just think those three dudes, especially in that kind of an iconic remake, because you have, you know, I think that's sort of how I picture the three original actors, like sort of picture the really young guy, the mid-ground guy, and then the old grizzled. So I think Benicio, like when Quint goes nuts, and he's up there singing. They're running away from the shark, and he's breaking the boat basically, and he's singing that "Farewell and Adieu to You, Fair Spanish Lady." I could just see Benicio del Toro just sitting there, like going absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
But I think those guys would be able to be subtle like those three guys used to. So that's my remake for
I
Jaws.
can see it. I could totally see that. What's next?
Well, we could talk about your the
Oh.
other one because it fills in the world.
Okay. Then we were talking about recasting the Avengers in kind of like in a timeless sense, I guess. Like if it was made with practical effects and came out
Right.
during the maybe the
80s and 90s, yeah.
right.
Where you still had dudes like Stan Winston who could do it.
That's it. Now I'm torn. Like one for sure for me is most people would say Nick Fury would be Kurt Russell because of Escape from New York, Escape from LA.
Yeah.
I put Kurt Russell as Captain America. I just do. The dude's got a jawbone like it's like an anvil.
Yeah.
Right? So like I just see that.
And it'd be cool to see an old Captain America. Like
Yeah.
even Kurt Russell, even back then,
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
you know, super.
But it seems to like grow as you get older, right? Like
Yeah.
the jawbone just got insane. I'm torn between do we keep Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk, or do we give Jim Henson the job to make us a Hulk?
Who?
Because wouldn't that be incredible to see?
A live action
Like,
Hulk.
yeah, like, because you know he could do it. I'm not. Look, because I'm talking less like Labyrinth, Fraggle Rocks. I'm talking like, fucking Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Right.
We cast the biggest dude possible, and augment him in a way with. Imagine if Jim Henson had the technology that we have now.
Oh Jesus, dude. Yeah. So I'm torn with that. I think I'm going more towards Henson, giving him a run with it. Because look at the texture he got on the turtle's skin and all that.
Yeah,
like,
it
he
was
could do
real.
the Hulk. Like,
Oh yeah.
that'd be incredible. I was toying around with another idea. Obviously, they introduced Spider-Man in Civil War to the Avengers, and I'm thinking, fucking Corey Feldman.
Oh man.
Because at that time, he was that goofball, right?
Yeah,
Like,
he was
that-
the Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield kind of
Yeah.
guy.
And I'm wondering about that. Like, I'm not saying he's the best casting for it. Whereas I'd say like Kurt Russell or Jim Henson would be the best idea. I'm just pondering that idea of like for the time would they have done that? And I'm thinking
My question to you is, who would be Bruce Banner?
that's
Because because Mark Ruffalo,
yeah.
he's probably he's the best Banner out of all of them so far.
Bruce Banner.
Who would be that dude? Who would play the Hulk sans Green?
Let's see. What about fucking Dennis Quaid? Right?
Dude, that would be cool.
Right? Because Bruce Banner was not like a small dude when he was Bruce Banner. He was just a scientist, right?
He was a scientist, but he was, he was of average, not above, average to above average physique.
Exactly. So I don't know. I don't think that'd be too crazy. Again, that's not like, I don't know. That's just something that came to mind, like that time period. We're kind of poking it there,
Yeah.
possibly. I don't know, maybe Bruce Willis, like
Bruce Willis's Banner. That would be an interesting.
That would be interesting.
What about Bruce Willis's Nick Fury?
That would be awesome. Yeah, I can see that, dude.
Because he doesn't have to be black.
No, he was actually white.
He's a white guy.
Yeah, like
he doesn't have to be Samuel L. Jackson. Even though Samuel L. Jackson's pretty awesome.
Black Panther's easy for me. Michael J. White, like
Michael J. White.
Yeah. Man.
Oh yes, I never even. Why wasn't he considered?
Dude, I don't even know. The dude's got martial arts skill like I didn't even know, and he's huge. Like way
Michael
more.
J. White. Why wasn't he even considered that's.
Actually, I'm gonna withdraw. If not, Michael J. Fox should have been Spider-Man.
Yes!
He's got the voice
Michael
down.
J. Fox.
Michael J.
I don't
Fox.
know, Doc.
Yeah, dude, he so should have been Spider-Man. Right?
That's awesome. No, that's wow.
4. That's a tough one because
Or
instantly
yeah.
I go towards the only blonde action star at the time would have been like Dolph Lundgren. And he has this, like, if we're going historically away from the comic books, like, he'd fit, because he's tall, and he's, like, blonde, and he's huge
Yeah.
as fuck. So, yeah, but, like, the height kind of kills it for me, because when you see them all there, he isn't
Yeah, I
that
mean,
much.
he's
He doesn't tower
Chris
on-
Hemsworth is my height. He's 6'2", 6'3". He's not.
You know?
He's not a giant Hulk of a man, but he's still, he's bigger than Stark.
Yeah.
He's,
Yeah, so I don't know if I want to jump straight to him. One, I think they probably might have cast Lundgren just because of, with that being like a mythological space out of this time type of being, he's the only one who's like portrayed that in He-Man Master of the Universe.
Yeah.
So,
And if we're thinking of at the time, this is shortly thereafter, years later after Rocky 3.
yeah.
Or Rocky 4, and
Oh, fuck, I take it back.
yeah.
Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan as 4.
Hulk Hogan
Tell
as
me.
Terry Hulk Hogan
Dude,
as Thor.
You tell me that wouldn't have been incredible. Though.
Oh man!
Like people would have complained and bitched, but dude, what I'd give to see him.
That would, because he's there. All you need to do is give him a fucking hammer.
And he has the like theatrics for it though.
Yeah,
like,
he's,
to pull off
and
what,
he's a giant.
to pull off what an 80s Thor would have been, like the yelling and the raising the hammer up.
Yep.
And just like I can see that.
Is there a place for Schwarzenegger in this?
Oh, let's see. Who do we have?
I guess maybe not. In my mind, maybe not because he's the Terminator. Everyone, even if you played like, did you imagine if you played Ultron?
Well, you had him as Thanos, right?
There you go. That's a way to stick him in there.
Right. I mean, the Avengers is a huge universe, so we're also talking Drax.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. He would have been if Guardians was back in the 80s, man, Drax, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It would have been him.
Yeah. That's it. Or Ferrigno, because we already know that he'll be painted green for money. So,
Yeah,
like,
exactly. However, you can't deny Dave Bautista's acting chops.
No, you can't.
Because
You
he's
really
in the
can't.
new Blade Runner 2049, and apparently his performance is incredible. But his kind of deadpan silliness that Drax is outside of killing people is you
Yeah.
can't. There was a fine line he had to ride for it to not be campy and for it to be a level of sarcastic, because you had so much funny in that movie already with Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
It could have very easily just been dumped over like, oh, this is just a B sci-fi, high budget B sci-fi.
Who are we talking for Stark?
Oh, okay.
'Cause that's a tough one.
Because fucking Robert Downey Jr. And that we have to remember that Robert Downey Jr. in the pantheon of all of this, he's still a mid-90s actor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he got into a lot of trouble with
it
drugs.
It would be hard to not say that, like, accurately, that they might not have been pulling the same shit they did with Batman and been looking into Clooney or, you know, fucking Kilmer and these type of guys to try that, but that's not what I see.
Yeah, I don't know. Stark.
I mean, tough one for that. Especially if it's the same dynamic, so it has to be like the gel that holds it all together, kind of thing, you know. And he's, you know, so picture who looks right next to like Kurt Russell. Are we talking? Do we want them similar? Are we gonna go Swayze on it? Like, you know, like, are we gonna go
Patrick Swayze as Iron Man?
Are we gonna go double jawbone? Like,
yeah, we're gonna go like. So do they just have a chin fight?
The two biggest chins in Hollywood, like side by side, like.
That's great.
Don't you think? Like, I don't know. That's. And then the one that we're all forgetting is. I mean, I'm not so fussed on Hawkeye. I think they would have cast almost anybody for that.
Yeah, well, they pretty much did.
But
and he ended up being phenomenal.
Yeah. Black Widow.
Black Widow at the time.
It'd be hard to say they wouldn't throw Pamela Anderson in it.
Oh
too.
God,
like,
they probably would.
Carmen Electra, like those were the. Unfortunately, like, as much as we had a huge surge of male actors at the time, like the female ones that were making that money were.
And yeah, there would have to be like Scarlett Johansson in that role is larger than life, but she's not normally.
Yeah.
Because of the augmentation of ability and all that kind of stuff. But who is this? Leave me a message. I have no idea who the hell you are. But yeah, I guess it would have to be. Well, you know what would be? You throw a monkey wrench in there. Winona Ryder.
Oh.
A super young Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
Mid-90s Winona.
Yeah, man. I mean.
Before The Theft. Before Girl Interrupted and all of those movies came out.
Who else do you have at that time? Because all the ones I'm thinking are either after that or before. Like, at that time, who do we have?
Daryl Hannah.
Hmm.
Oh, what's her name? Oh, God, what's her name from... That's right there. 90210.
What about Brooke Shields?
Brooke Shields, yeah.
She'd have been in the running at least.
Yeah. God, I forget her name.
What's the girl from Naked Gun and shit? Elvis's daughter. Fucking Summit Presley, obviously. Right?
It's not Lisa Marie Presley, is it?
Is it?
I think.
Yeah.
That would be a mindfuck.
Yeah, right. I'm trying to think of, like, because the standard of beauty was a little different, just like like the look. So she isn't gonna match. She
the
isn't
big hair and everything like from that.
So it would be a little different, but I'm just thinking of like who they would have been, the pool they would have been pulling from. Yeah.
It'd be kind of fucked up if, going back to the Suicide Squad thing, Parker Posey.
Oh, what about Lucy Lawless?
Yes!
From Xena.
That's perfect for
Right.
Black Widow.
Right. She should have been Wonder Woman as well in my fantasy cast there.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, definitely Black Widow I could see. She's got the... Dude, a bit more physically imposing than Scarlett Johansson,
She's like...
I'd say.
I
think she's
a
cool,
large
right?
woman. We've discussed movies that we would remake and recast. And just to be clear, the movies that we've suggested are cool. they're not like poorly. They weren't like poorly done. I mean, especially
Oh yeah, no.
like all those there. They were well put together. Just cast not even incorrectly. Just a cast that we would like to see.
I think we get away with the Avengers one because we're talking about a different time frame.
Right.
So like we're talking before that could have been possible if they would have just bit the bullet and tried it.
Yeah.
That's what it would have been.
But
yeah, with the others.
these movies here, and I just have to bring that up because I forget the people. But these are the films that should be. We think that these are things that should be made into movies, and casts for them as well.
Okay, I'm
just get we get our notes out, get our rats out. Oh.
Dude, let's not do that.
No, let's not do that. You don't know what that means. I mean, I suppose if you're from where this guy is, you do.
Yeah.
Oh no! You don't want the photo.
I watch a lot of Jim Jeffries lately.
Dude.
You're a dumb cunt.
Dude, I'm kind of regretting looking this up.
Why?
There's like a lot of semi-erotic pictures of Dolph Lundgren out here.
Oh,
Like,
no.
never search his name into Google, man.
Apparently
the dude
not.
is like 90% of his life he's been oiled up. Like, it's nuts.
That's amazing.
I'll use that picture as a reference, I guess.
I didn't know William Shatner was in the original of what I'm going to suggest. I had no idea. No clue that the Shat was part of it.
Man. Okay, I got mine.
Okay, cool. You started the last one, I'll start this one. I think that, and I suppose the reason that it hasn't been because we have movies like The Terminator and Iron Man and Cyborg,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff being part of that. But I think The $6 Million Man should be made into a movie.
Yeah.
Specifically, like a complete separate thing. No Stark Industries, nothing like that, or it could maybe even be misconstrued as part of a universe. Just a man is eviscerated, and we have the technology to rebuild him.
Yes.
Like that, the guys that, I knew that the original one, the only actor I knew was the guy who played Steve Austin was Lee Majors. He's that guy. He's the, strong-chinned dude of the time.
Yeah.
And he's still alive, at least I think, anyway. Yeah, he's 78. He's still alive. Lee Majors is still alive. He was that strong-chinned kind of guy at the time. But I think this movie would be cool just to attack it with the technology we have nowadays for filmmaking.
Yeah.
But that worked because there was a lot of in-camera practical effects being used, really low-budget stuff that they just kind of made work. And again, since we're both huge into practical effects, I would like, all the people from Stan Winston's school, because his company's still going. There was a lot of surgical stuff that I think Greg Nicotero, Walking Dead, Land of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, he was George A. Romero's buddy, and Tom Savini's good friend. They could do a lot of this, like, there could be a crazy surgical sequence where it's like, all that kind of crazy shit. But I think the guy that should play Steve Austin, to kind of keep with the whole Lee Majors thing, because even at the time, Lee Majors was a middle-aged type of guy. I think it should be Bruce Willis.
That'd be awesome. I could see it.
Yeah. Bruce Willis as Steve Austin, because he's just the right amount of old and tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Either him, or if we wanted to go the younger actor route, with the Steve Austin part, we really go with the gusto and make it into the movie that it could be. Because I'm thinking of a serious action film with a hard R.
Okay.
But it could very easily be thrown into the PG-13 territory if, I don't know, it could still be if we threw in, like, Ryan Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ryan Reynolds is a $6 million. It could be a very, like, because there was some funny stuff that happened. I remember watching it as a very young, very young. It's obviously, you know, it's from the 70s, so it's when I'm watching it, it's reruns like crazy. But he's in an office building, and he goes, and the one guy's like, you know, break through that wall or run to the end of the hallway in a second. And the guy's like bouncing a tennis ball, and Lee Majors just grabs it and pops it and walks out the door.
Yes.
Like, it's funny stuff like that I think could be augmented by a crazy funny actor like him. You haven't seen him in much. I guess he's really not a serious theatrical actor. Not seen him in the most serious thing I ever saw him with Amityville was the Amityville Horror. The remake they did of the Amityville Horror. And even then, he was funny.
Yeah.
Like, something so grotesque and awful, yet he was able to put his little one-liners in there. But yeah, I would imagine, like, the $6 Million Man. And then, like, some of the actors around him could be, like, I don't know, if we're going to keep going, I mean, Oscar Goldman, I believe the guy, he's the main antagonist, if I remember correctly. Or maybe it's Martin Brooks, I'm not sure. But the main antagonist could be Zach Galifianakis.
Yes. Dude.
Like, I'm thinking of making this into the most ridiculous movie ever. But you have to remember, in Birdman, Zach Galifianakis was on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was a great performance from him. It showed like his funny, but it showed his serious acting as well. I think that would be interesting. So yeah, Ryan Reynolds and Zach Galifianakis. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm seeing it.
But it would be like, I wouldn't want, like, it'd be so easy to, like, cast, you know, the major action stars, like, whatever the hell his name is from, whoever played Captain America. What the hell's his name?
Oh, yeah.
Chris Evans.
That's him.
Yeah, Chris Evans. It would be so easy to, like, yeah, $6 Million Man. But then you would just see Captain America. You wouldn't see the $6 Million Man. Just the same, I suppose, you could see Deadpool.
Yeah.
You know, with Ryan Reynolds, but he's not. You only recognize Ryan Reynolds in the first, like, half an hour of that movie. And for the rest of the movie, he's covered in, you know, the mask, or his face is so tumored and scarred that you can't tell who he is. I think it'd be a cool way to use his charm and the augmentation of being 3/4 robot.
Yeah. Dude.
So, I think, yeah. And then I think it's just appealing because of we could make it so interesting. Like, we take all the exposition and everything from the series and sort of distill it. It almost would be like a RoboCop kind of thing.
Yeah.
But less of a full-on robot and more of a guy that uses his augmentation to fight crime. You know, and it's not Batman or Superman, or it's just a dude that is given this, so therefore he must, like, he's the only one with this sort of adaptation, so it's sort of his responsibility to be that.
Yeah.
As with any I mean, if I had superpowers, I would feel obligated to help people.
I guess that's because you had it shoved down your throat like your entire life, and that's what you're meant to do when that happens.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's why, I suppose.
Yeah, right. Like,
I was just, like, meant to.
Yeah. Shit.
What do you got there?
I have
Just as a disclosure, the remakes and the recasting of the old movies was far easier than the movies that should be made.
This was hard because basically every good idea I come up with was a remake of some kind. This is a little different and kind of off the beaten path. It will come with a recommendation that you should definitely watch this. It's an anime that's on Netflix right now. It's a 3-part thing, 3 movies, and there's also like a series that comes with it. I think there's like books as well.
Mm-hmm.
People keep saying that that's like way better than the movies, but yeah, it's called Berserk, and it is about a mercenary guy. It's a Japanese anime, so it's based in like a medieval fantasy kind of setting, but it's less fantasy, right? Like there's not much of it. It's not like super out there. So he's a mercenary and he's like looking for people to fight with. His trademark is that he has a giant ass sword, and yeah, without spoiling anything, like it's just a really cool thing. You should definitely watch it. Action packed and whatnot. There's some disturbing parts in there that seem to pull you deeper into the story.
That's always good when they're actually there to explain the story instead of just being disgusting.
Up until that point, you could probably still turn it off and not think twice, but after the penultimate moment of the trilogy, you're like, holy shit. And I'll spoil one thing, you get 0 resolve, right? And
of course.
But I think it would make for a great 3-part movie if people had the patience for it, which people seem to not have patience for that. They'd need to put it into one film, which would suck. So I'd kind of be against it for that. But let's say they remade it. So the main character's name is Guts, and at the beginning of the story, he's fairly young and he's like new. Obviously, a very skilled swordsman. He has like a giant sword. But later in his adventures, he becomes, he's fought a lot of battles. He's won a lot of battles, and he's slaughtered like battlefields of men by himself. He's become like this awesome warrior, and he has quite a nasty battle where he ends up with one arm. He's only got one arm, one eye, and he's obviously a lot older and meaner than he used to be. So they build him a steampunk-esque, as I can describe it, hand, and obviously they can't do anything about his eye. But his sword then gets even bigger, and it's called the Dragon Slayer sword, and it's like ridiculously big. So like the one that I made is close to his original, still a bit smaller than his, but the Dragon Slayer is insane. So I'm thinking...
So you're talking like a 12-foot sword or something like that?
That's what he looks like. That's the character.
Oh, man.
Right?
Okay.
That's how thick his sword is, like, if you can make that out.
So, like, we're talking like that.
Yeah.
We're talking like the size of a Buster sword, at least the width.
Yeah, at least. For him, for Guts, I cast Dolph Lundgren. Again, I know he's popping up on my thing, but I was trying to look, because one thing I've noticed with how Guts is drawn is very, very masculine, but not like, it's the way that they do the cheekbone. He's like drawn like a model. He's drawn like a male model, right?
Yeah.
So like it's hard to find someone like that. The only person I can think of who has that kind of head shape, stuff like that. Plus, Guts is a tall guy. He's got a 7-foot long sword. Who's tall enough? Who looks gnarly enough? Because imagine him with one eye.
Yeah.
And like, and how he looks now, like gnarly as fuck.
Yeah.
I can see it all day. For the bad guy, who is, we'll call it either he has like 2 things, so it could be like Femto or Griffith. I would cast, it's a tough one, because I was kind of thinking of going against what he looks like in the thing and going for what like would translate, and I was thinking the dude who was in the vampire glittery dude from Twilight.
Oh, Robert Pattinson.
Yes. I was thinking him only because
The vampire glittery dude.
he's not like he's not like very imposing, right? Like he doesn't have a very imposing look. And that's kind of it with that. So that's the only two characters I'll really get into.
Robert Pattinson and Dolph Lundgren. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Two generationally.
Yeah, definitely.
diverse.
They're worlds apart. They're worlds
Yeah.
apart. The only other one I could think of possibly to be on the other end of that. Shit. I mean, I don't know. Fucking. I can't even think. I mean, it would have to be someone from like the hair bands, you know, like it would have to be someone like that, like that kind of look, a lot more like slimmer, very like feminine, really.
We could.
So like I'm talking like a Welcome to the Jungle Axl Rose kind of look.
Well,
you know?
I mean, you know, if we could bring actors back, fucking David Bowie.
Dude, yes, David Bowie definitely.
Because, you know.
He would have been perfect. I don't know if I have an equivalent for the modern day one, so I'll leave it at that. But David Bowie would have been bomb as that.
As that particular character. I feel like he should have acted more.
Oh my god, I wish. Dude, him in the Labyrinth is still one of my favorite movies. I love that.
Totally.
The what is even more fascinating than that movie is the extra content of like the behind the scenes and all that stuff. It's just like
of all, yeah.
How
all
like
of those
even when you
puppets.
see how it's done, it still doesn't fully connect.
It doesn't. And that's what was cool about. It always goes back to the practical stuff with us. It's like that's what was so cool about using those techniques, because when you watch the film now, it still holds up.
Yeah.
Like the one of the best things that I just thought they did it for real, even until now, was the tanker explosion in Terminator, in the first Terminator, when Reese throws the pipe bomb in the pipe on the back of the tanker that Schwarzenegger's driving, and she's trying to run down Sarah Connor, and it explodes. I thought they did that like full size and just blew a tanker up.
Dude.
That was all miniature.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It was all miniature, shot in a backdrop
I
somewhere in
don't think
Hollywood.
that skill set exists on that caliber anymore because there's no
explosion. There's no
'Cause no
explosions that are done full scale anymore. The pyro dudes are all fireworks guys now.
You can only begin to imagine the skill set it takes to make a tanker to scale that looks exact. Like
and the camera speed that you have to run, and you have to program it so it moves in scale speed. Like if you just pull something across there and shoot it in regular, it's gonna look like it's moving 700 miles an hour. So they had to pull it along in scale speed, run the camera at a certain speed, and you can't really control how fast something explodes. So all of those things have to run together and be shot and edited in a certain way that fools the watcher into thinking that it's the real deal.
Yeah.
Like that is so lost on a lot of films because of computers now. Like you can literally do anything.
But
it looks even faker.
Yeah, it doesn't last as long. The first viewing. You know,
and then it's over.
Plus, there's not that like wow factor anymore. Like they put all those things into movies now, but the last time I saw a big explosion or something happen was like, whoa, you know, because it happens all the time, and you know how it's done as well. Like, I think it takes away from it. So as much as the filmmakers think like this is our big thing, but it doesn't do anything for the audience anymore to see.
I haven't seen any movies with giant catastrophic explosions in it.
I mean,
lately.
Yeah.
I can't think. Maybe the Expendables? Did the Expendables have a big pop in it? I don't remember.
There was What was it? The one that I was impressed with was the other guys with the bugs.
Oh yeah,
That was impressive. I'll give that to them. That is something that.
You know, and they're like, how do they walk away?
Yeah.
It's so loud. Yeah, that was done, at least to my knowledge, as practical effect. Because for a comedy like that to have the budget of an action movie, like you had to do practical stuff because you don't have the budget for the CG.
It was incredible. One thing that I want to happen is I want Netflix to just throw money at Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan and give me a Rush Hour series. Because I would watch it all day. You could do 10 seasons of that and it would never get old.
Oh yeah,
even if like one of the episodes,
again.
like even if you went the cliche of most like sitcoms and was like the Thanksgiving episode is they go to like Chris Tucker's house and Jackie Chan's there. Like I'd love to see that.
Yeah, and like during that time, like triads find out where they are and they descend upon the house and it's up to Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan to save the family, and it's just like Chris Tucker being loud and obnoxious and running away trying to protect his girlfriend at the time or something.
Yeah.
And Jackie Chan running around and just busting people's heads open with like banister rails and shit.
Yeah.
Like that. I want to see The Foreigner. I haven't seen The Foreigner yet.
Maybe either. I need to see that. That's got to be incredible.
There's some stuff for you.
While we're talking casting, I had some interesting ones in the back of my head. One is sticking out a lot. These are different to these.
Right.
These are castings that almost happened.
Okay.
Right. There was a thing I read the other day that way back, Michael Jackson was ready to throw cash money to buy Marvel so he could play Spider-Man in a movie.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how much money this guy had.
shit.
And imagine the world we'd be living in when Michael Jackson was Spider-Man. Because the dude had the money for it. The only thing that happened is someone showed some restraint.
Yeah.
You know, Marvel was like, no.
Wow.
And how do you turn that man down at that time as well? Because he's like the man. Like.
Yeah, and this would be this would be the time. This would be the. I'm assuming this is probably the time. When Batman's coming out. Probably in the 80s.
Yeah, somewhere around there, I'm sure.
So, like, wow,
Yeah.
Michael Jackson is Spider-Man.
Dude, he was ready. He was going to do it. And I read that the other day. I was like, whoa.
Well, that's also, when you talk about fluidity of movement, that's the guy you want playing a Spider.
I mean, yeah. I mean, sure. It would have been terrifying in hindsight.
Yeah. Especially if he did the shit that he did from, I forget what that one was when we turned into the giant robot.
Oh, Moonwalker.
Yeah, Moonwalker, yeah.
Dude.
I always thought that was kind of cool. Like, he made music videos that were movies.
He would have. I don't know why they didn't. If they would have remade the Day the Earth Stood Still, and had him as the alien,
oh,
that would have been incredible.
that would have been spooky.
Yeah.
Instead of Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, man. Dude, and I forget some of. Like, I read these all the times, like these castings that nearly happen. It blows your mind.
There was supposed to be a different. What was?
I mean, Nicolas Cage as Superman.
Oh man, that one's creepy. That
Yeah.
was really. That was probably the
Happening.
closest one to actually happening. Oh come on.
Okay, I got a page for us.
I got one.
I
We got a little
have
bit of time left here.
fucking.
Oh yeah, Lance Henriksen. Lance Henriksen was the guy who played the other detective. When it was I forget. Oh come on, where you at? He's in here somewhere, but whatever. The two detectives that when she's in the when they take Reese and her and into the precinct, the white guy, the other detective that was talking about him being on PCP or something, Lance Henriksen was actually supposed to play the Terminator.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I have one here, which is
We'll close out the
Chevy
podcast on this one.
Chevy Chase as Forrest Gump.
What?
Yeah. Chris Farley as Shrek. I could totally
Oh
see
my
that.
God.
I'd have preferred that. Another one. Fucking, I don't know. Let's see. Will Smith as Neo. Whoa. He was gonna be in the Matrix. That would have changed things.
That would have changed things drastically. Holy hell. Alright.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it for us. Thank you for watching again. This has been not exactly round.
I don't.
Watch some movies.
Do it.
Do it hard. Maybe not. I don't know.
Sean Connery as Gandalf.
You shall not pass unless you have hookers.